your host, Dr. Chundria Brownlow. In today's episode, we're talking mindfulness, boundaries, and mental clarity with life coach and educator Allan Howard II. And whether you're feeling stretched thin or stuck in hustle mode, this conversation is a breath of fresh air. Let's get into it. Allan Howard II, certified life and success coach and founder of AM Howard Coaching and Consulting. Welcome to the Chundria Show. How are you today?
You know what? Honestly, blessed to be here, and I thank you for allowing me to just be in this space with you and share whatever nuggets of wisdom that I've learned over this journey, and I'm just blessed to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. So let's go ahead and chat today. In your opinion, what are some of the biggest misconceptions about having mindfulness for busy professionals? A lot of us are working full-time jobs. A lot of us have businesses. A lot of us have families and children to take care of and responsibility and aging parents. Like the list of things that we have to do, it's sometimes a little topsy-turvy. So what I'd like to address those misconceptions about mindfulness.
You have to know who you are first to be able to serve it all, and so waking up and understanding like, yeah, I might have a busy day, but if I don't take time out to kind of check in with myself, then you just start to get lost in the rigmarole. There's so many distractions that, we get lost in, just trying to serve others, right? But I've realized just over my career and over, serving clients and community is that if I'm not coming with literally a full tank, then I'm not doing my community justice. And so, to go back to what you were saying is, even if you have a busy day, there's things that you can carve out. Like, let's just go, for instance, maybe people like coffee in the morning, or they like, I don't know, whatever your idiosyncrasy might be. It could be you're looking at YouTube in the morning. Hopefully you're looking at the Chundria Brownlow Show, right? Like, but if you find yourself spending, too many hours there, you can maybe take a half hour of watching content and kind of say, okay, what can I do to serve myself so that I can show up for others, right?
It's kind of a theme, a big part of what you're saying. Like, especially if you have a really rigorous work schedule, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're employed or whatever your day looks like. And I really want to expound on those tools and strategies that you would recommend for anybody, even in the early stages of just trying to reset mentally, because sometimes there's no wiggle room. Sometimes you do have back-to-back meetings. Sometimes the responsibility is there, whether you're up for it or not, whether you feel like it or not, whether you had enough rest or not, and so sometimes it's about, like you said, those small little changes. If that means getting to bed earlier, if that means not doom scrolling at 10 o'clock at night, if that means looking at your calendar in the morning when you open your eyes and you grab your phone and instead of social media, you're actually looking at your calendar to kind of reset the day and say, okay, you know what, I have a 10 o'clock. I can't scroll in the bed, for 40 minutes. I need to get up and do some things before to prepare for that. And so are there any other simple things? Because I think sometimes busy professionals feel like there's no room. There's nothing more I can do. I have to, or if you have to pick somebody up from school at 3 o'clock and you feel like my day is packed until 3, there's no wiggle room. If that means delegating the responsibility, if that means, if that means having a 45-minute meeting, just so you have those 15 minutes at the end of it. Can you think of any like small changes that could have a big impact?
Oh, absolutely. And you alluded to a few of those. And I think before we can even get into some of those steps, I want to take people back and understand like we're really right now talking about the first step to any change, which is awareness, right? Like understanding, okay, there is this need. I feel rushed. I feel like I don't have enough time in the day. And that's what most of my clients come to me with. They're trying to get clarity on, okay, where are they literally in their life so that we can put tools around that. So I'm glad you asked that question. That's a beautiful question. So the first thing is I would say start with awareness and being honest, like brutally honest with yourself of like, okay, whatever days for you work well. Let's say for me, I like Thursdays and Fridays because a lot of people, or at least for me, I don't schedule a lot of meetings on Thursdays and Fridays because I understand just for me, I'm leaving out of town. I have family commitments. I don't want to start populating, 5 and 6 hour long meetings on Thursdays and Fridays where people might be out of town. So the first thing is really becoming aware of just how you want to maneuver, how you want to move and show up in the world, first of all. So for me, like you said, entrepreneur, I know I need to have some of that solitude time. So I'm going to build that into my schedule. And I know that, right? So what does that look like? I want to have maybe say an hour a day to take a walk. So maybe I have to get up early. I'm not a morning person. Maybe I get up at 5:30. I start to do the second step, which is audit. I start to look at, okay, what are the tendencies do I have? My Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, they seem to be really packed. Why is that? Okay, you like I said, you have to have awareness first of where you are. Second, you got to audit your life and audit. Okay, this is where I am, and this is where I want to go. And like I said, really be honest with yourself. Of okay, I see I have 30 hours in this week of meetings. Do I need 30 hours of meetings? You know what I'm saying? And so that's where that honesty comes in with yourself and with who you're trying to serve. If you can do that, if you can do a 15-minute meeting versus 45, now you freed up, 30 minutes, and that's just one meeting, right? If you have five of those, you can do the math. That's an hour and 15 minutes or so of time back, or whatever you have, if that's some good napkin math. But you can see how you can start chipping away at those little, those little hours, excuse me, those little minutes, and you can get hours back in your day. So once you start kind of going through your day, looking at, okay, I really don't need 3 hour meetings, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Maybe I can condense that into a 1 hour meeting. You start being real with yourself. Then you start setting, which is the third step, accountability, right? Okay, I've said all this. Now, how can I write this out? How can I really have some type of structure or somebody even in my corner to kind of hold me to this? Hey, you said you're not going to have these hour-long meetings. I still see we're having these hour-long meetings. What's going on. So holding yourself accountable to that change that you want to make, those are kind of those three steps that you kind of have to put in place to even start to begin that change in yourself to start to dive down to really what life you want, right? Because if you don't think about it, then you start getting into the what others want you to do and what social media is telling you to do, or what your job or your career is trying to tell you to do, versus looking at really what you want to do. And if you don't take that time to really sit back, you're never gonna really get to that, I think.
Guilt can come into play where you feel like you're juggling things. It's like that pressure you that we sometimes is self-inflicted. Like I should be able to handle it all. I should be able to handle parenting, work, business, social. Like you said, you don't have to be the superhero, but sometimes that guilt is self-inflicted, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it could be the people around you, like, oh, you're always working, you never come to my events, you never answer when I call. Like that societal pressure that you just have to always be everywhere all the time. And so it's like combating that can be difficult depending on what the relation is with that person. So not only setting boundaries, but also like maintaining that trust, fostering that relationship where that person, if it's important to you. Because I think setting a boundary with somebody, like, okay, you'll be okay if I don't go to your birthday party, But if it's your children, for example, and if like dad, mom, whomever, you're always working, you're always busy, you're always on the phone, you're always on your computer, you're always traveling, you're always, 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 and so I'm drowning out that noise.
Like you said, the people around you also play a factor in your happiness, also play a factor in mindfulness, right? And so you really hit something there, because I didn't think about that as well. Because if they're coming at you and saying, yeah, man, God, I wish you could show up for these parties. Well, why don't you have a party at a decent time, right? Why are you having this party at 10 p.m. when you know I got to get up at 6 in the morning for a flight? You see what I'm saying? So there has to also be this mutualism, I think, in any relationship, and we can get deeper into that if you want. But once again, I always bring it back to the self, because if you're not aligned with who you are, then you're gonna let those boundaries be there. But when they get bumped up against, you're gonna break them, because that comfort that people are feeling is more sustainable than the discomfort, if that makes sense. Because I know that on the other side of discomfort now is growth, but when I was growing up without the awareness, I thought that discomfort was something to be avoided. It's like, no, I want to be comfortable if I'm gonna do something, and that's just not how life works. And so boundaries are the same thing. When we get hit with a boundary, or somebody puts a boundary up and they actually hold it, it actually makes us feel more uncomfortable if we're not secure in who we are. And so that's why I always bring it back to what are we doing internally to actually show up for our clients, our community, our families.
about on one side, small things, tiny things, little simple tools that we could just adopt today. If you're watching this, that you can adopt today. But then I want to kind of shift to those that are kind of behind. We're still struggling with setting boundaries. We still have that deep guilt. We're still letting people book us for meetings from from dusk to dawn. We're availing ourselves all the time. We're letting people call you last minute. We're letting people console and talk to you forever. We're letting people talk to you on the phone for 3 4 hours. We're just allowing. We're just giving of ourselves from
Yeah,
day to night. I want to talk about big mindset shifts for those people.
yeah,
We're too far behind for the little steps. I'm talking to an audience of people that need that big shift, that big change in mindfulness, so that they can identify, like, even when your body needs a break,
yeah,
even when if you had a rough night,
yeah,
you didn't sleep a wink. Maybe you had a bad dream. Maybe you had anxiety. Maybe the neighbors were noisy. For whatever it was, you did not have a. There are a lot of people that will get up the next morning and go on about that day,
yeah.
tired, groggy, drained, headache, all the things, right? And you still push forward. How can we shift into big mindsets today? Today, this weekend, starting Tuesday. How do you shift someone forward in a major way?
Absolutely. That is such a beautiful question. Thank you. Because the big change that anybody's going to go through, I think, is rapid acceptance and rapid honesty. Because the first thing is that if we're living in this delusion that things are going to get better without any action, I think that's what we have to look at. And that's a huge change for some people because we talked about those familiar, even generational, I would say, normative behaviors that people are just comfortable with. Even stepping out of, I would even say, the comforts of your own home as a, let's say, 18-year-old stepping out. Like, if you don't know, you don't know, right? So you have to first be honest about, I'm going into this needing help. Okay, like, just know that. Like, it's not weakness to ask for help. I think for me that was the big shift, is to get better. There are some things that I have to first of all become aware of, and that's where hiring a coach, you know, listening to the Chundria Brownlow Show, like, these things, these are, I mean, these are big changes, like these, because once again, you're opening yourself up to, I don't know it, right? And like for some people, most people want to know everything and control the outcomes, and most people think what they know is that's it, right? Like that's the end all or be all. So I would say rapid change and honesty with yourself, brutal honesty of, I don't want to feel like X anymore, right? Whatever it is, right? You can say, I don't want to feel groggy in the morning. Okay, what am I doing? Right? Asking yourself these powerful questions. What am I doing to even put myself in this situation? And what am I willing to do? So you really have to sit with yourself. And it comes back again, sitting with yourself, which is the biggest change, I think, and being brutally honest. And a tool that I use, and this, I think this hopefully can help others, is really writing down, what does an ideal day look like for you, right? And then you can kind of go back once again with these first three tools: awareness, audit, accountability. Now you can go and say, okay, I'm aware of, this is where I'm at in my life. This is where I want to go. Okay. Do I have the tools that I need? Yes or no? Brutal honesty, once again. The answer is no. Okay. Next question. Do I have the resources now? Because we got to be honest. Like we were saying, we could be behind. It could just be, I don't have the resources, whether it's a network, whether it's financial, whether it's even the mindset tools or the information. So it comes back again to those first three steps. Where am I at in my life? Do I want to stay there, remain there? Yes or no? No, I don't. Okay, where am I at? Do I have the tools that we can go down these steps? But it's auditing pretty much, right? Do I have everything I need? And do I have the system around me or the people around me, the accountability partners? And am I willing to even hold myself accountable? Which is a huge change. Because most people go around, correct me if I'm wrong, thinking that it's going to happen to them. I'm just going to be out here and somehow build this platform somehow, and so I hope that can help somebody, like, because it's not as hard as we make it. Now I get it, resources. How can I start scaling my business? That's a whole nother conversation. But if you're not honest with yourself to begin with, of where you are and where you want to go, then we can't even begin to have that conversation on the direction, right? And so I think, to bring it back to what you said, that big change is brutal honesty and rapid acceptance of, I'm where I'm at. It could be great, it could not be great, but at this moment, I'm honest with myself where I want to go, and the things I need to do, and that takes time with yourself.
Really powerful. And what I take away from that, and I hope others do, is how you're saying to hold yourself accountable, but you have that power. And I think a lot of people forget that you have the power, and so you've really given us tools to reverse engineer the goals. Start with the goal and then work backwards. This is what I want. I want to not work where I work. I want to earn more money. I want to quit my job and start a business. I want to be a leader. Whatever your goals are, I want to travel the world. Whatever the goals are, reverse engineering those backwards. I feel like there's a shift that sometimes happens in the mind where it's like
Yes.
we either are telling ourselves it's too big to attain, like you said, let's tap into those resources. Have you asked? Have you researched? Have you looked online? Have you gone to the library? Have you got a book? Have you found a mentor? Have you done the work? Have I done the work to get to what I'm saying that
Action.
I want?
Action.
Action. Yeah. Powerful stuff, Alan. Thank you so much. This has been so informative, and I'm so grateful that you were my special guest today. And before we wrap up, I have a couple rapid fire questions for you, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
yeah, I love that type of stuff.
All right. Question one. What's your favorite way to unwind after a long day or a long week?
Honestly, like, I get to hang out with my kids. Like, it's so dope. Like, they still want to hang out with me. We have a 27-year-old and 11, soon to be 9. So a nice spectrum, and they all still live under the same roof, thank God. So, just hanging out with them, kicking back, cooking. Like, we love cooking. I can say I wasn't like this size before. I was maybe about 50 or 60 pounds heavier. And so really getting in the kitchen, utilizing some of those other skills, those engineering skills, coming up with culinary delicatessens. Like, we really try to get in there and start just being creative. And it gives us time to just have these conversations naturally, right?
Next one. I know you're on your health journey. Congrats on losing 50 pounds. That's awesome. What's your snack food now? What's your go-to snack food?
Listen, like, let's be real. I still love chips. I still get in there. I get a nice little bag of those kettle. Like, there's no free advertisement here. Like those Kettle One chips. Those like the way that they air fry them now. It's nice. It's not too bad. Not too greasy and oily. And so anyway, my wife is gonna check me when it comes to that anyway. She's like, no, we need you around for 50, 60 more years. So you can't have the super processed, ultra processed foods.
What's a book that changed your life?
Oh God, Rich Dad Poor Dad, real talk. Um, because you have a unique perspective on me. I've always known I didn't want to work for somebody for like my entire life. Like, nothing wrong with working for somebody, but I've always known I wanted to work with people. And I didn't understand what that mindset was, what that drive was, and it's just entrepreneurship, right? It's just, here's a problem, here's some information I have, here's maybe the God-given gifts, the universal given gifts to me. Let me translate that into simpler terms for people, or whatever, or break it down to whatever level they need, or bring it up to whatever, and serve it in a way that's fun for the fundamentals, right? Like, that's what I got out of that book, and that's what I got out of that is possible, right? And you never judge a book by its cover. That's another lesson I got from that. And so it's like, reading that changed my perspective of what it means to be successful, right?
Down to the last two. What's on your travel wish list? Where haven't you gone yet that you've been planning to get there at some point in life?
Maldives. Besides Africa too, I want to go back to Africa. Definitely got to go back there, and travel and see where we've come from, and all the things that we've had to go through as a people, as a society as well. And but I know there's other places. Monaco. I mean, just these places where I love water. I love ocean, like landscapes. and never would have found that out if I didn't move outside of my comfort zone, which was Chicago. Love Chi-Town. Stand up. Come on. And you know what I'm saying? So like if you see, so we wouldn't even be able to have this conversation or even be able to think outside of those boxes if we didn't take those chances. And thank you for that, because I do want to go there and hopefully even take some youth or people that might not have those opportunities to go. Like just trying to be an example of what's possible really is was always driven me, and it was never like in a sycophantic way to say I'm better or worse. It's just I don't want, because of where I come from, to ever stop or limit. It just might be an obstacle, or maybe even not even that. It might even be what the universe needed you to what the universe needed you to be, so you can become who you are becoming.
Love that. Last one. What's a quote or mantra you live by?
Yeah, never judge a book by its cover, because you miss out on the rich story. You miss out on the rich story. If you got it, everybody's a hardback cover book. But if you don't ask the person's name or what journey they're on, they'll never open that book up so you can get to the soft pages in the middle. So that's how I look at it. Everybody, one plus what, 8 billion, 7 billion plus books that I would love to read. But I have to ask, who are you or who are you becoming is a better question that I try to ask.
Powerful stuff. Allan Howard II, I want to thank you for being my special guest on the Chundria Brownlow Show.
Thank you for having